The following program deals with mature subject matter and is intended for adult audiences only. Liberals should seek advice before continuing.
You're listening to A Radio.
Thank you for joining us. You're listening to A Radio, and this is the Morning Moment. We are on Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 11:45 Eastern. Follow us on Spreaker.com and click on the like button. You can find us on most social media platforms such as iTunes, Spotify and iHeartRadio. Go to our website, aradio.wordpress.com, for details, where you'll find more content and details on our podcasts and more. I call this piece the 10,000 foot view. Now, I don't often comment on the now, but as these are not normal times, I'm making that exception. First, the US economy is the strongest it's been in nearly half a century. Fact, unemployment is at a near all-time low. Fact, these 2 points are indisputable. Why should that matter to me in Canada, or the rest of the world for that matter? Well, it's simple. Despite China's attempt to take a massive number of shortcuts to overtake the US to be the world's number one economy, it can't. It never will be able to. Try as they do to inch forward, their whole economy is built on quicksand. It has always been that way. They have attempted from the days of Nixon to leapfrog ahead in technology, and they fail at every step. Why? Because their social foundations are weak. What do I mean by that? Well, their social foundations are communism. Communism never works. When you take reward from work, you end up with inferior products. And let's be honest, how many of us today know for a fact that something that comes from China won't work or is likely to break down far sooner than we'd like? I compare China to a certain extent with a version of Canada. Now let me explain. If you take the 10,000 foot view, you will see very little difference between Canada and America. Very little. But come back down to earth and you will see a great deal of difference just below the surface. The key to a great and strong society is two things: a democratic society and an infrastructure to back up that society. It doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter how old or new it is to have a successful and prospering society. You must have these two things in my mind. Now, Canada, for instance, claims to have the first. Well, we do to some extent, but when you dig deeper, you will see there are attempts to undermine key aspects of democracy in Canada. And one of the key aspects is free speech. It's absolutely vital to a successful and prosperous society. And even as important is infrastructure. Yes, Canada has roads, bridges, airports, etc. But again, dig deeper and you will see, for example, and this is just one example, they are yet to introduce sophisticated stoplights in Canada, computer controlled in other words, reducing wait times depending on the time of day. That makes a huge difference to the flow of traffic in large urban environments. That's just one example. This was done in the UK nearly 30 years ago, and similarly in America. Canada is still waiting, and many towns and villages across Canada don't even have proper drainage for their roads, hence many accidents, both winter and summer. It's simple things like that are vital to a modern society. These are the important things, the linchpins, so to speak. Yes, you can be like China and build the latest roads and buildings, etc. But as we've seen, they just collapse for no reason. And it makes me wonder how many more are out there that we don't even see. China, as I've always said, is built on a bubble. But it's not just built on a bubble, it's built on a bubble on a bubble. And one of those bubbles is us, relying on them for cheap goods. You know the old adage, you don't get something for nothing. How true, and I think it's never been truer today. My father always said about a country that if you live in a country that doesn't make anything but relies on others for all your goods and services, then you don't have a country, or you just do services. Yes, it's fine to trade. We're all in favour of that. But when it comes at the price of the security of your nation state, then that's when it should be questioned. So I have a question for you. When you don't make steel, you can't dig coal, you're not allowed to drill oil or gas, and you don't make clothes, you don't grow your own food, or any of the modern equivalents, don't take those in that list verbatim, then you really do not have a nation state, do you? The question should be, why doesn't my country make all the stuff that makes my country a country? And that includes medicines, because at the end of the day, and this is important, if you can't get it, the things that are needed to keep your country strong, free and independent, then what do you have? This is the very large 5,000-mile hole that's in globalism. They, the globalists, never want to talk about this, do they? But maybe, just maybe, you do. So when the virus has died down and millions of folks have lost their lives worldwide, and it will happen unfortunately, ask yourself, was it worth it for that $299 85-inch TV and some obscure fancy watch for $25, etc., etc. Was it worth us allowing a third world country to play at being first world while all the time their foundations were actually collapsing around them? Was it worth it? Was it worth it?
You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, where you can find links to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Gab, Spotify, and email. We're on Spotify under the podcast section. Type in Canadian Politics with a twist and you'll find us. We are continuing to reach out to you, so please pass these links on to your friends. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. You can listen to all our morning moments at Spreaker.com/A-Radio, EHRADIO, A-Radio. And please click on the like button. Join us Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 11:45 Eastern, and tell your friends and pass the word. We only tell the truth, not what the mainstream media want you to know.